Welcome back to another video, guys. I feel better. I have another video uploaded, Spider-Man. It's probably not going to upload for a couple of days. It's taking a very long time. But yes, I stopped here, guys, because we're reacting to her story. But I got this game called Quip, and if you guys have it, follow me and play my games. They're honestly fun. Yeah. It's called Obsession Fan 10. It's this profile picture bear when he is about to die in the movie. But yeah, I just got, this is a new game. A new game's uploading right now. Yes, Five Nights at the Conjuring. Decided to do that. And then 2 of these games are uploading. So if you guys want to play these 2, you're going to have to wait 12 minutes for it to upload. But yes, guys, we're going to be watching her story today. Yeah. Watching her story. Oh, look, Corey X Kenshin. Oh, wait, did it upload? Hold on. Oh, yeah, guys, these 2 videos just uploaded. Go check them out. Okay, guys, shorts. Okay, first one.
The morning after my wedding, I woke to my ring finger black and swollen around my wedding ring. I held it up to my husband. "Did you buy me a fake ring? My finger's black," but he pushed my hand away. "That ring is real diamonds. Don't you dare call it fake." But my finger had gone stiff and cold. "I need to go to the hospital. This isn't normal." He shook his head and refused to take me. So I drove myself, the blackness spreading across my hand, wondering why he wouldn't just admit something was wrong with it. At the hospital, a doctor took one look at my hand and his face dropped. "We need to operate now." They wheeled me in, a mask came down, and everything went black. When I woke up, my hand was wrapped in bandages. My ring finger was gone, all because of my husband's ring. A doctor leaned over me. "The poison was spreading to your bloodstream. We amputated to save your life." Then my husband burst in, and I screamed, "Your fake trashy ring almost killed me. Just admit it." But he snatched the ring off the tray. "I'm not a brokey. You have no idea what this ring means to me." I couldn't believe the man I just married cared more about his pride than my hand. My mom shoved him back. "She lost her finger, and you're still defending a cheap ring?" A doctor took the ring from him. "We're testing the ring and her blood. We'll know the cause in an hour." My husband sat up, prideful, and I mumbled, "If that ring is fake, I want a divorce." Then an hour later, the doctor came back holding the ring, and everyone went silent. "We tested it. This ring is 100% real. Real diamond, real gold." My jaw dropped as my husband jumped up with a pumped fist. I screamed, "If it's real, then why did I almost die over it?" He looked at my chart. "You have a rare allergy to the metal alloy in gold."
What just happened? Hold on, guys.
Real diamond, real gold. My jaw dropped as my husband jumped up with a pumped fist. I screamed, "If it's real, then why did I almost die over it?" He looked at my chart. "You have a rare allergy to the metal alloy in gold. Your own body rejected the ring." My husband had been telling the truth the whole time. I turned to him, tears streaming. "I'm so sorry. Please forgive me." The room waited for his answer, but he took the ring from the doctor and held it up. "This was my dead mother's ring, and all of you called it trashy and cheap." He slid it into his pocket and mumbled, "Now I want a divorce." The morning after my wedding, I picked up my dispatch radio and listened as the officer spoke. "We have a man suffering cardiac arrest. Head there right now." But when I looked at the address, I nearly fell from my chair. It was my ex-husband's old house. I'd had a restraining order against him for 6 months, and he violated it twice. Now I was the one who had to go to him. I drove over with my partner, my hands tight on the wheel. I kept telling myself he moved out and doesn't live there anymore, but I couldn't stop shaking. We pulled up, and I grabbed my kit and walked slowly towards the door. I stepped inside with my heart pounding, expecting him to jump out from a corner. We pulled up, and I grabbed my kit and walked slowly towards the door. I stepped inside with my heart pounding, expecting him to jump out from a corner with a knife or bat like he used to. But then I saw an old man on the kitchen floor, gray and not breathing. I dropped to my knees and started chest compressions. My partner ran in behind me with the defibrillator. We worked on him for 12 straight minutes. Compressions, shock, compressions. The whole time.
What the heck's happening with my internet?
ran in behind me with the defibrillator. We worked on him for 12 straight minutes. Compressions, shock, compressions. The whole time my eyes kept flicking to the doorway. I could barely focus on the old man and just kept looking at the curtains and hearing creaks that weren't there. We got a pulse back and loaded him onto the stretcher, rolling him out to the ambulance. I didn't breathe until we walked out and slammed the door shut. But at the station, my supervisor pulled me aside and his face looked like he'd seen death. You went to the wrong address. The call was for the house next door. He gripped my shoulder. There, we found a man hiding behind the kitchen curtains with a butcher knife. If you went to the right address, you would have come face to face with him. My blood ran cold as I realized that man was my ex. He called a fake emergency and planned for me to come in to kill me. The man being unconscious at the wrong address was a bizarre coincidence. I made the worst mistake possible as a paramedic, and it's the only reason me and the old man are alive. I picked up my dispatch. I leaned in to kiss my boyfriend, but he pulled his head back and shook it. I can't do this. I've realized you're only with me for my money. I laughed, thinking he was joking, but his face didn't move an inch. So I pointed at his McDonald's uniform I ironed for him on the couch. I don't mean to be rude, but I have more money than you. You work minimum wage. Why would I ever be with you for money? He suddenly went red, then mumbled, sorry, I'm just being dumb. But that evening, while getting ice cream, I patted my pockets and realized I'd left my card at home. Babe, I forgot my wallet. Can you cover it? But he instantly stepped back and pointed at me. I knew it. I knew you're only with me for my money. He broke up with me right there over a $2 cone and walked off shaking his head like I was the crazy one. I went home, shocked this was how my relationship ended. But then my doorbell rang 12 months later and he was standing on my porch. My business just blew up and I finally have real money. But now girls from my past who never noticed me keep asking me out. It's made me realize you were the only one who never cared about how I was poor. Can you please take me back? I don't know why, but I said yes to one date. At the restaurant, he told me to order whatever I wanted. So when the waiter came out, I pointed at the ribeye. His left eye instantly twitched, but he said nothing and our date went fine. At the end, I reached for my purse and offered to pay, but he instantly waved his hand and gave over his card. No, I've got it. I smiled, thinking he'd changed, but the second we got back in his car, he went quiet. He turned to me and with a serious face said, I just feel like you're using me for money. You got the ribeye knowing it wasn't the cheapest thing on the menu, and I know you only offered to pay because you knew I'd say no. I was too stunned to speak, but he opened the door. Get out, you gold digger. My face went hot as I stared at him. You're such an idiot. I got out and slammed the door, calling an Uber with my own money. When my doorbell rang again 9 months later, I left him standing outside in the rain with his flowers. I took a bite of my steak, and my stepmom instantly slapped my back as hard as she could. I started coughing because the steak lodged in my throat and stopped me from breathing, but my stepmom just crossed her arms grinning. How many times have I told you, no steak in my house? Me and my son are vegans. I kept choking and grabbed the tablecloth with shaky hands, feeling my face go blue, but she just turned around and started plating me carrots. Her son slapped my back hard, and I gasped as the steak flew from my mouth, hitting her shirt with a wet, medium rare slap. She turned around to scream, but I was already running with my plate of steak. I locked myself in my room to eat while she pounded my door. You're gonna regret this. That night, I caught her son going through the fridge while his mom wasn't looking. He was eating salami while peering over his shoulder, and my jaw dropped as I realized he'd been sneaking meat behind her back. I set up a tiny camera to capture him and grinned to myself, but when I came home from school the next day, my knees nearly buckled. My stepbrother was seizing on the floor, red in the face. I immediately scooped him up, and at the hospital, doctors took one look at him and wheeled him away. But when I tried to call my stepmom to let her know, a nurse's hand blocked me. Who's in charge of his food? She asked. I looked at her confused. His mom is. Why? The nurse shook her head. Then call anyone but his mom. We found something potentially fatal in his system, but we don't know what. I grabbed my head in shock. Had his own mom poisoned him? I came home and walked through the doors with shaking legs, but she was already standing in the doorway. Why is my son not home? I quickly lied and said he's with a friend, and she stared at me for a second before walking away. That's when I remembered the camera I'd placed earlier. It was aimed right at the fridge, so I ran into the bathroom and pressed play. I watched in horror as my stepmom pulled my container of steak out of the fridge and put a few drops of cyanide from a pipette onto my steak. Enough cyanide to kill me. She grinned. That stupid girl will never eat meat again after this, and put the poisoned steak in my fridge and walked away. I gasped, because hours later, her son walked to the fridge. He peered over his shoulder to make sure his mom wasn't looking, and ate my poisoned steak. My stepmom accidentally poisoned her son while trying to poison me.
What did I do to deserve this?
I found a picture of myself on a website called gasorpass.com, and when I clicked the comments, every guy was rating me a 2 out of 10. Tears started streaming down my face, and one guy's name I didn't recognize said she would be a 4 if she had real hair instead of a wig. My hands started shaking because only my best friend knew that I wore a wig, which meant she'd told somebody, and I was going to find out who. The next day at school, my best friend Trina pulled me into a hug. We all saw the comments. I'm so sorry. I swear I don't know how the boys found out that you wear a wig. I hugged her back, and all my other friends surrounded surrounded me to comfort me, and I thought I had the nicest friends in the world. But as soon as I hugged them back, I saw one of their phone screens on Gas or Pass.com posting another photo of me. I kept looking and saw the other girls pull out their phones, all leaving comments underneath. She's so chopped. It's not that hard to lose weight. I clenched my fists and wiggled my toes, doing whatever I had to do to keep my cool. And when the hug ended, I gave her the fakest smile ever. You're the nicest friend ever. She fake smiled back, not knowing I was planning on destroying her. We walked to the cafeteria together, and the boys surrounded me while I was in line. I tried to pull away because I thought they were going to make fun of me even more, but one of them took out his phone. We saw the comments on Gas or Pass, and we want you to know it wasn't us. Another nodded. Trina and the girls made fake accounts with our names on the profiles, but we would never say that. Mama didn't raise me like that. My fists clenched in anger, and I asked them to come with me, and we walked over to the table where Trina had saved me a seat. I made my voice sound high-pitched. Hey girls, so since you rated me behind my back, I was thinking me and the guys could rate you too, except, you know, to your face. The color drained out of their faces, and Trina stuttered. That wasn't, but the boy beside me, her school crush, already had his mouth open and said, I give your personality a 2. It's not a 0 because your mom is cool. The boy next to me grabbed the back of her chair.
Oh my gosh, my internet's so fucking stupid.
Hey girls, so since you rated me behind my back, I was thinking me and the guys could rate you too, except, you know, to your face. The color drained out of their faces, and Trina stuttered. That wasn't, but the boy beside me, her school crush, already had his mouth open and said, I give your personality a 2. It's not a 0 because your mom is cool. The boy next to me grabbed the back of her chair. Nah, I'd give her a 0. She used my name to say things my mama would slap me for. Trina shoved her chair into the table behind her. You're the one bullying people right now. You're a hypocrite. So I pulled my wig off and set it on the table next to her tray, and the whole cafeteria went quiet. The difference is, you can choose your personalities. I don't get to choose being a bald cancer survivor. One of the guys opened up a Gas or Pass for each of them, and they all stormed off. They haven't come back to school since. I found a picture. I walked into Mom's workplace and started doing her job completely wrong because that's exactly what her boss wanted. My mom had worked as a senior account manager, but when she got so sick she couldn't stand during the week of her biggest client signing, her boss told her to come in anyway or get fired. Mom emailed back saying she physically couldn't speak, but her boss wrote back, then you send your daughter in to cover for you. There are no excuses for missed work. I laughed because I was 16 and failing Algebra 1, but when Mom put the lanyard around my neck, I figured why not. I walked into her work next morning and the receptionist buzzed me straight through. I walked into a room where 8 people in suits sat waiting on Mom's presentation. A woman folded her hands and asked me to walk her through the Q3 numbers, so I pointed at the biggest number on the slideshow Mom gave me. This one's like giving good chart energy, she frowned. Giving what now? Good chart energy. She stared at me like I had 5 heads and closed her notepad. At lunch, Mom's boss personally asked me to handle client emails. Are you sure that's a good idea? But he walked off without even giving me a response. So I turned to my computer and sent over a rebrand I made in Photoshop of a talking cereal box with sunglasses. We're a clothing company, was all I got back. Mom texted, how are you getting on? Laughing face. And I told her I was crushing it, and sent over another email to the CEO explaining we're pivoting their whole brand to appeal to sad millennials. At 3 p.m., I watched the client's CEO storm into Mom's boss's office and literally rip up the biggest contract this company had ever had in front of him. Mom's boss screamed at me to go home. Then he called her that evening while she was throwing up in the bathroom. You're fired! We're suing you for sabotaging our biggest client! He screamed so loud even I heard it, and I watched Mom's hands shake as she set the phone down. She burst into tears, but that's when I smiled. The next day, I walked into a lawyer's office, and when he saw the emails Mom's boss had sent her, he leapt out of his chair. We're gonna be rich. You could probably pretend to be a lawyer and still win this case. Me and my little sister were back to back when she screamed over her shoulder, am I taller than you yet? I laughed. You're still 4 inches shorter. You're built like an Oompa Loompa. She got on her tippy toes and started jumping to try and be taller than me. One day, I'm going to prove you wrong. I rolled my eyes because I thought she was just yapping. Until the next morning, when my phone buzzed with my sister live for 400 viewers. I clicked, and she was climbing the 300 feet tall radio tower, grinning into the camera. Everyone thinks I'm short. Today, I'm going to be the tallest girl in the world. I sprinted to my car barefoot and sped through every red light. On the live stream, the sky behind her turned black. When I got there, I instantly ran to the base of the tower and screamed, get down now! She laughed into the camera. Chat, my sister wants me to get down so she can be taller than me. But today, we're going to prove her wrong. I could hear fire trucks in the distance, but I had no idea if they were going to get there in time. So I grabbed the bottom rung and started climbing. Halfway up, the rain hit, and my arms shook so hard I could barely grip the steel. I screamed, don't move! I'm coming up! The hook slipped. Her shoes skidded off the wet bar, and she dropped, snatching at everything until she caught a crossbar, too far out to swing back. I climbed level with her, hooked my knees around the frame, and laid my body out into the air, stretching every inch I had. Her grip let go the exact second my hand clamped around her wrist. She swung into the steel under me and grabbed on, and I hauled her in, and we clung there shaking. If I'd been her height, my hand would have closed on air. The 4 inches she'd hated her whole life were the only inches keeping her alive. Her legs gave out at the bottom, so I carried her to the ambulance on my back. Halfway there, she pressed her face into my shoulder. I'm taller than you right now. I tightened my grip on her legs and kept walking. Enjoy it. I was loading eggs into my trunk when a BMW reversed into the spot next to me and crunched into my back door, right where my baby was sleeping in her car seat. My bags hit the ground, eggs cracking across the asphalt, and I ripped her door open with my heart slamming. She was screaming her lungs out, but she wasn't hurt, and my legs nearly gave out from the relief. Then a kid barely old enough to drive stepped out of the car and pointed his phone right at my face. "You hit my car, you old lady! I filmed the whole thing! Wrong! Your car hit mine! You could have killed my daughter!" But he was already dialing 911, and my heart hammered because it was his word against
Guys, this kid's so stupid.
mine. And if this incident got out, I could lose my daughter. He yelled into his phone, "I need help! Send the police! Send everyone!" and laid down next to his bumper like a crash victim. My jaw dropped, because the only person who should have been crying was my baby. The cop arrived in record time, and the kid limped over holding his neck. I rushed to explain, "Wait, it's not what you think," but the cop was already admiring the kid's car. That paint job is pristine. Before I could say another word, he spun me against my own window and cuffed me, and my daughter watched me through the glass. "Why are you arresting me? I'm innocent." "That's what they all say," the cop said. I twisted my body toward the window. "My baby is in that car." "A baby? Child services will meet us at the station." My whole body started shaking, and I couldn't move my arms, so I pointed with my feet. "Look, the dent is on my door, right next to her car seat." But the kid moved his body to block the dent before the cop could see. The cop raised both hands. "It's his word against yours. Unless you got proof he hit you, I'm taking you in." I clenched my fists behind my back, and that's when it hit me. "Proof? I don't have any proof, but he does." I pointed at the phone still in the kid's hand. He was filming himself when he hit me. It's all on there. The kid's face drained, and he hugged the phone to his chest. My phone doesn't have a camera." The cop's face went red. "Do you think I'm dumb?" He snatched the phone and played the video as my heart pounded. There he was, singing into the camera with one hand on the wheel, my car filling the frame behind him, and the crunch cutting him off mid-note. The cop looked up slowly. "You filmed yourself hitting a car with a baby inside." The kid's face went purple, and I finally breathed out. The cuffs came off my wrists and went onto his. I pulled my daughter out of her seat and held her while she grabbed a fistful of my hair. As they walked him past us, I held up my cracked eggs. "You're paying for these too." I was loading eggs into my trunk when
When is my birthday?
my milkshake splashed all over the Mona Lisa after someone pushed me from behind. Immediately, every alarm in the museum started going off. Security guards came from every direction and pinned me to the ground. Everyone in the museum pulled out their phones and started filming immediately. They pulled me up off the ground so that I could see what had happened. The most famous painting in the world was covered in thick chocolate milkshake. I could already see the paint start to bleed and the canvas crumble. Just then, an old woman broke down and started weeping over the ruined picture. Then the crowd started booing me. I was taken out of the gallery. Afterwards, I was handcuffed to a metal chair and interrogated in a back room. An investigator slammed his hand on the table and screamed at me, "Why did you do it? Are you some kind of protester or extremist or something?" I turned my head as he shouted, "Look, man, someone bumped me from behind and made me spill the shake. It was all an accident." He looked down his nose at me. "Well, it's about to be the most expensive accident of your life. We'll know just how expensive when the damage report gets back from the museum lab." I sat in that room for hours when suddenly the door opened. The investigator walked in calmly and sat down. "Well, it turns out we owe you an apology and possibly a reward." My mouth hung open. "What? Is this some kind of joke or mind game? I told you it was just an accident." The investigator uncuffed me and opened the case file on the desk. The damage report came back. The painting was ruined, but that's okay because it was a fake. And it turns out the person who bumped you in the first place was a thief, attempting to escape with the real Mona Lisa. If you hadn't spilled your shake, we never would have known. As for the thief, he was caught in the security lockdown when we apprehended you. He's going to jail for a long time. I walked out of the museum with a $10,000 reward and a whole new appreciation for art. My milk, I reached into the McDonald's bag to grab a fry.
Actually crazy. Okay, yeah, guys. Bro,
But that's when my little brother gasped and covered his mouth in shock. He pulled out a singular fry that was literally 2 feet long, and my jaw dropped looking at the size. His fingers trembled with excitement as he held it. Mom, come see this fry." He banged his fist on the table, trying to get her to turn around and look at it, but that's when I grinned. I grabbed the giant fry out of his hand before she could turn around and shoved it straight into my mouth. My little brother's face completely crumpled, and he burst into tears as Mom turned around and asked why he was crying. I looked right at him and laughed, but then, 15 years later, I was eating Doritos and my eyes shot open. I pulled out a square Dorito the size of my head and instantly scrambled for my phone to take a picture. This was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. That's when my brother snatched the Dorito. He crammed the whole thing into his mouth, and as I stared at him in disbelief, he bit down loudly. "That's for the fry." I reached into the McDonald's.
There's an app called Bigo Live, and
I brought my bestie to New York Fashion Week and said, we're going to model on the stage tonight. Sia laughed. Girl, are you joking? We can't get in. We're literally broke. But I took her hand. Look at all the outfits people are wearing. One of the models walked inside wearing a dress made out of bubble wrap and a traffic cone strapped to her head. I smiled ear to ear. We're not buying our way in. We're dressing our way in. She gasped. But if we get caught, our fashion school will kick us out. I smiled. So let's make sure we don't get caught. We went to the nearby Walmart and spent the last of our $11 on the most random items we could find. We locked ourselves in the public bathroom to build our outfits, and I taped a pool noodle around my waist. It's called fashion, she raised an eyebrow. I don't know, but I was already tying a shower curtain around her neck to make a cape and sealed every seam with silver duct tape. And by the time we were done, we looked completely insane. I did the French gesture, beautiful, and even Sia clicked her fingers in a zigzag motion and exclaimed, honey, we are fabulous! But when we reached the door at New York Fashion Week, my heart was slamming so hard I could feel it in my teeth. We're here to model. Sia nodded slowly, trying to seem mysterious. The guard tipped down his sunglasses to look up at us, and for a second, he didn't say anything. Then he pressed into his walkie-talkie, get the makeup artists here. Now, a group of fashionistas grabbed us and led us inside to a woman in cat eyeglasses. She grabbed the duct tape on my sleeve, the seaming, the personality. So, I need you both on my stage. Now. She dragged us toward the lights, so I squared my shoulders and walked. Flashbulbs went off like gunfire, trying to capture two broke girls strutting a New York runway held together with duct tape. I looked into the crowd, and 3 rows back, I locked eyes with a teacher from our fashion school. She mouthed, see me Monday. I blew her a kiss and kept walking. I brought my bestie to New York Fashion Week.
That's crazy. Okay, yeah, guys, we're ending the video there. Bye, guys. And yes, hold on. Guys, go check out my account here. The 2 games, Chapter 2 Horror and Chucky, they pretty much suck. But yeah, I made the Chucky one pretty gory. I just made some stupid games. The It Horror is pretty fun. You should check out Five Nights at Freddy's, The Conjuring, and yeah, guys. And also go check out these 2 games. I'm uploading them right now, guys. But bye, guys.